What's up guys and welcome back to On the Brick with another custom mock. Today I have for you Jarek's TIE Bomber, but before we get too far into it, I just want to say that while this is a non-LEGO version, if you want to build a real LEGO version, you can buy the pieces at my new web store onthebrick.fun. The link to that is in the description down below, as well as the link to where to buy the instructions. As I said, this is a non-LEGO version that I purchased myself about a year ago at this point, but unless you were to sit there and look at each individual stud, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference. Jarek is one of my favorite mock designers out there, and this is no exception. He designed the First Order TIE Fighter that I have, as well as several other amazing designs out there. Some quick measurements: this TIE Bomber has 1,494 pieces, and is just under 8 inches long, it's 10 inches wide, and 5.5 inches tall. That is 20 by 26 by 14 in centimeters. There's so much detail in this build, and so much thought clearly went into putting this thing together, and it is a fantastic build, one that I am extremely happy to have. On a model like this, there aren't many functions, but one thing you can do is open up the cockpit here. For the record, I did switch out this piece with a real LEGO one. If you buy this using non-LEGO pieces, it does not come with a printed piece there. You can actually slide the cockpit open and even move the controls out, and as you can see, there is room for a minifigure in there. So if I go ahead and grab my Imperial Pilot minifigure, you'll see that I struggled to get him in there. But that has nothing to do with the build, and just because, well, the lights in this light box are actually very bright and I was just struggling to see. But it's actually really easy to fit him in there. He fits snugly, and with absolutely no problems you can put the controls back up and the cockpit windshield as well. In a really cool design choice, Jarek decided to include the bombs here. I think that's what these are here. It would make sense. This is the bombing compartment, and even though he didn't have to, I'd really like that he did. But you can also see the amount of detail and techniques used just in this one section. If you've ever wondered why Jarek is one of my favorite designers, builds like this one are why. He adds so much intricacy that it really goes a step beyond, even tiny details like this thing here. Now, in the title I ask, is this the perfect TIE Bomber? And the answer is no, but it's extremely close. There are only 2 areas that I had any sort of issue with, and I'm going to be very clear here, these are not due to it being non-LEGO. The first issue is in the corner here. All 4 wings are built exactly the same, so you'll see this little build on each side of all 4 wings. And you'll notice that I added some glue, and by some I mean way too much, and that's because this entire section is only held on by 1 stud if I remember correctly. I would go look at the instructions, but those were on my old hard drive unfortunately. But the point being is that this section is just a little too loose. It holds okay at best, but it was falling off as I was building the rest of the wings, and that's why I just put some glue there and called it good. Nothing too frustrating or too bad. We'll actually continue with the wings here, and I want to point out that this build is strong enough to be able to stand on the wings themselves. There's no bowing, no problems here. This is an incredibly sturdy build, and these wings are beautiful. I guess you could say they're built using the snot technique, even though it's mainly just bricks. But the one section I do want to point out is on the edges here. These are all hinge plates. Now, this was easily the most difficult part of the build, as you have to connect all of the hinge plates on the side wings to the hinge bases on the center there. I personally did struggle with it a little bit here, meaning it took about maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get all the wings on. But I've also heard other people building this with real LEGO say that the wings exploded or fell apart as they were trying to connect them. I personally had absolutely no issue with that at all. Like I said, it was a bit of a struggle, but the wings never came apart or anything. But since I've heard a few different people say that, I wanted to mention it here just so you can be aware. As long as you take care while putting this together, you should be fine. Now, one problem that exists because of non-LEGO are these bar pieces on the outside here. The pieces there and the bar pieces on the inside were just a little too short for what needed to be done, so I did go ahead and switch these out for real LEGO so that I wouldn't have any issues. And if you get this in non-LEGO, I would highly recommend doing the same so you can avoid any problems. I also wanted to point out the details on the underside here. Jarek literally spared no details anywhere, because even though this is a part of the build that most people won't see, he still made it look good. I love how on the left there you can see a bunch of how he put this together so that it's a good spherical design. It really works and it looks awesome. Also, I suppose I should point out that he did include the actual bomb dropper underneath the vehicle here. Kinda forgot to point that out earlier. Now if you want to see a magic trick, watch how the windshield disappears as I turn this over. Ta-da! This is the other problem I was talking about earlier that has nothing to do with it being non-Lego. The windshield is only connected by a single clip underneath it, as you can see, and unfortunately that does mean it's really easy to knock off. However, it's just as easy to put right back on. This is a seriously well-designed vehicle. You can see as I move it around and stand it up in different ways here, just how sturdy and well put together this build is. No pieces are falling off, nothing is coming loose. Jarek did a super great job making sure of that. You can stand this thing up in a bunch of different ways. It stands perfectly fine on its own. I mean, seriously, I can't say enough just how good this is. Also, I just wanted to point out the back here as well, because there's even more details, and you can see that even the inside of the wings have intricacies and details on them. Jarek did a fantastic job with this model, and I'm very happy to have it. At some point, I do plan to get a real Lego version of it, but I don't know if I would make a video of that, as honestly, this thing is really good already. And if I did make another video, I would probably just spend the entire time talking about how good it is anyway, like I'm already doing now. But let me know your thoughts on this build in the comments down below. Please do remember to help appease the YouTube algorithm by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing if you would like to see more awesome creations. If you actually want to be notified when those videos come out, make sure you ring that bell as well. As always, I need to send a huge thank you to all of my patrons who have continued their wonderful support. For as low as $3 a month, you can see your name on screen, or for a little higher, you can get shoutouts like Jonathan, Jaden, Project Elements, and JVP1K. Don't forget to check out my web store where you can get awesome minifigures and even more awesome sets. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.